Imagine a lab where robots work around the clock.
Hmm.
Artificial intelligence solves those really complex problems, and scientists like you have the freedom to focus on the big questions in the universe.
Sounds a little bit like Star Trek, doesn't it?
It does a little bit, but it's actually closer to reality than we think.
Much closer.
So today we're going deep into the future of science.
That's right.
We're exploring how artificial intelligence, robots, and human ingenuity are coming together to transform how we do science.
Really exciting stuff.
Yeah, and we're going to be looking at articles from technology networks, the World Economic Forum, and chemical and engineering news.
A great selection of sources.
Yeah, so whether you're a scientist or just interested in the future of science, this deep dive is for you.
Yeah, this is going to be fascinating to see how all of this is going to play out, because what's really interesting is that AI and robotics are not about replacing scientists.
Right.
It's not about scientists becoming obsolete. It's about empowering them,
Yeah.
giving them new tools to tackle these huge challenges that once seemed impossible.
So let's unpack this idea of the lab of the future for a second.
Okay.
It's not about robots taking over. It's about a seamless integration of AI and robotics into research.
Yes.
So imagine robots doing those really repetitive tasks
Yeah.
that take up so much time. And then researchers are free to focus on the big picture.
Absolutely. And think about this. Imagine a robot that can do liquid handling,
Yeah.
preparing samples over and over and over again and doing it perfectly every time
Yeah, with no breaks.
with no breaks, and so much more accurate than a human can be.
Yeah, I mean, you get tired.
Yeah, exactly. Even on your best day, you can't compete with a robot.
Yeah.
So this not only makes those experiments more efficient, it also tackles this huge problem of reproducibility.
Yeah, that's a big one.
There was this study in Nature back in 2016, and it found that over 70% of researchers had trouble replicating other scientists' experiments.
Oh, wow.
And this reproducibility crisis has been a thorn in the side of science for a long time.
It makes you wonder how much progress has been held back because of this.
Right. Because science is built on this idea that you can replicate findings.
Yeah.
You have to build on the work of others.
Exactly. You can't move forward if you can't even agree on what's already been done.
Right. And so if experiments are hard to replicate, that really undermines the entire foundation of science.
Undermines the whole thing.
And robots, because they're so precise, offer a solution.
Yeah. I mean, we're not saying robots are perfect,
No, of course not.
but they can execute these experiments in a way that reduces errors.
And reduces variability.
Yeah, which is so important, for example, in drug discovery.
Absolutely.
I mean, where even a tiny discrepancy can have huge consequences.
And it's not just about precision.
Right.
What about speed?
Yeah, I was reading about this self-driving laboratory.
Oh,
Re-engineered enzymes
Yeah.
to make them more heat tolerant,
Yeah. It was incredible. And they did it all with machine learning.
which is mind-blowing to me.
It really is. It's a game changer.
Yeah, so this self-driving lab, it actually improved these enzymes using machine learning with very little human intervention.
It's like having a tireless lab assistant
Yeah.
that never gets tired, never goes home, and can run experiments 204/7.
So essentially, we're talking about speeding up scientific discovery, potentially by a lot.
Potentially exponentially.
Imagine labs churning out all these groundbreaking discoveries at warp speed.
That's the dream.
Yeah, but as with any major technological leap, there are going to be challenges.
There always are.
So what hurdles do we need to overcome to make this vision a reality?
Well, one of the big ones is cost.
Okay.
Robotics and AI, they're expensive.
Yeah, especially that initial investment.
It can be a huge barrier for smaller labs or labs that just don't have the resources.
There are labs in developing countries, for example.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we have to find ways to make these technologies more accessible
Right.
and more affordable so that everyone can benefit.
Yeah,
Another challenge is training scientists to use these robots.
that's a good point.
It's not enough to just have robots.
Right.
Researchers need to know how to program them, operate them, and make sense of the data they produce.
It sounds like we need a whole new generation of scientists.
In a way, yes.
Scientists who are as comfortable with coding and algorithms as they are with pipettes and test tubes.
Precisely.
But hold on a second. It's not just about physical robots, is it?
No.
This revolution is also happening in the digital realm.
Absolutely.
It's changing how we manage data and how different parts of the lab are connected.
Right. We're talking about smart labs,
Auto labs, yeah.
where the Internet of Things is really starting to make its presence known.
The Internet of Things, that's a big one.
It is.
So explain what that is for people who might not know.
So basically, the Internet of Things is this idea that everything is connected.
Okay.
All your devices, your appliances, even your lab equipment can communicate with each other.
So your refrigerator can talk to your coffee maker.
Exactly. And in the lab, it means that all your instruments are talking to each other, sharing data adjusting parameters in real time.
So instead of each instrument being isolated,
Like an island.
they're all part of this connected ecosystem.
Precisely. And it's about streamlining workflows, improving data accuracy, and making the lab a more responsive environment.
More intelligent.
More intelligent.
I like that.
Yeah.
Are there any real-world examples of these smart labs in action?
There are.
Okay, tell me about one.
The University of Southampton,
Okay,
they have this demo smart lab
okay.
called Talk 2 Lab,
Talking to a lab, okay.
and they've got these voice command systems so scientists can literally talk to their instruments.
Like, hey, microscope,
Yeah,
can you tell me about this data?
exactly. You can ask questions, you can request adjustments, all while your hands are busy doing other tasks.
Wow, so it's like having a lab partner who can read your mind.
They are also experimenting with these predictive sensors
Okay,
that can anticipate problems,
okay.
like equipment malfunctions, and then alert researchers in advance.
So they can fix it before it causes a problem.
Exactly. It saves so much time and so many resources.
This is incredible, but it makes me think about data security.
That's an important point.
Yeah, because as labs become more interconnected and reliant on these digital systems, how do we make sure that data is protected and accurate?
Well, we need really robust security measures.
Okay.
Things like secure, cloud-based data storage access controls, encryption protocols.
All the things you would expect for banking. We
Exactly.
need to protect that data.
And it's also about ensuring that the data is fair,
Fair. What's that?
findable,
Okay.
accessible, interoperable, and reusable.
I see.
And this S principle, it's all about promoting collaboration, transparency, and reproducibility in science.
So it's not just about collecting data.
No.
It's about making sure that data is well organized, secure, and accessible to others,
And that brings us to another big player in all of this,
which is
artificial intelligence.
artificial intelligence, AI.
AI is everywhere these days.
It is.
And science is no exception.
So how are scientists using AI, and what are some of the hopes and concerns surrounding its adoption in the lab?
Well, one survey by Elsevier found that 96% of researchers think AI is going to speed up knowledge discovery,
Wow.
and 71% expect it to transform their fields.
So a vast majority of scientists are optimistic about AI.
They see the potential.
Okay, so what is the potential?
Well, AI can analyze huge data sets.
Yeah.
It can identify patterns that humans might miss, and it can even help design experiments.
Oh, wow. So it can come up with a hypothesis for us.
In a way, yes,
So it sounds like AI has the potential to be a game changer in science,
it does.
but it's also going to bring up challenges and considerations as well.
Of course, every new technology has its downsides.
Yeah, we're going to have to dive into those a little bit later.
We will, but first I think we need to step back and look at what all of this means for the future of labs and the scientists who work in them.
Yeah. So let's do that.
Okay.
Let's take a step back and look at the big picture.
Sounds good. So we're on the brink of a major transformation in how we do science.
Yeah, it's pretty clear from what we've talked about so far.
The lab of the future is going to look very different from the labs we see today.
Okay, so let's paint a picture of that.
Okay.
Robots are doing all the routine tasks. AI is crunching data at warp speed. What does it even mean to be a scientist in this new world?
It's a good question.
What skills will researchers need to thrive?
Well, I think the researcher of the future is going to have to be comfortable working at this intersection of science, technology, and data analysis.
Okay.
They'll need to be fluent in coding, algorithms, and machine learning.
So it's not enough to just be an expert in your specific field of science?
No, it's not enough. You're going to need to be more of a polymath,
A polymath, okay.
comfortable navigating both the digital and the physical landscapes of the lab.
So we're not just talking about a change in the tools scientists use.
Right.
We're talking about a fundamental shift in the very nature of scientific inquiry. So what does that mean for how we train scientists?
It means we need to rethink how we educate the next generation of scientists.
Okay.
Curriculums need to include more data science, computer programming, robotics.
Wow, a lot of changes.
We need to foster this culture of interdisciplinary learning,
Okay.
where scientists are encouraged to explore fields outside of their own areas of expertise.
So breaking down those traditional silos between disciplines and creating a more collaborative research environment.
Exactly. Imagine a lab where biologists, chemists, computer scientists, and engineers are all working together, sharing their knowledge and expertise.
That would be amazing.
It would lead to breakthroughs that wouldn't be possible in isolation.
It's like creating a scientific melting pot,
Yes.
where all these different perspectives come together to create something truly new.
And this collaboration won't just be confined to a single lab.
Yeah, okay.
Imagine labs all around the world connected through a global network,
A scientific internet.
sharing data insights, remotely operating each other's equipment,
It's like the scientific community becomes one giant brain.
with information flowing freely across borders and disciplines.
But with this increased connectivity, does that also come with new challenges?
Of course.
Like what?
Well, how do we ensure that these advancements benefit everyone?
Right, not just a select few.
Because right now, labs in wealthier countries have a big advantage when it comes to resources and infrastructure.
So we need to find a way to bridge that gap.
Yes, we need to make these technologies accessible to scientists all over the world.
So it's not just about developing the technology, it's about making sure that everyone has access to it,
It's about democratizing science.
making sure everyone has the opportunity to contribute to this global pursuit of knowledge.
Exactly.
Aye.
But we also need to remember that technology is not a magic solution.
Right.
As we embrace these new tools, we need to think about the ethical considerations.
The ethics that's always important to consider.
Yes.
So what are some of the potential pitfalls of AI in the lab?
Well, one concern is bias in algorithms. If AI is trained on biased data, it's going to perpetuate those biases in its analyses and predictions.
That makes sense. Garbage in, garbage out, as they say.
Exactly. So we need to be very careful about what data we use to train these systems.
Right. Make sure the data is fair and unbiased.
And another concern is that AI could be used for harmful or unethical purposes.
Okay, like what?
Imagine AI designing autonomous weapons systems
Oh, yeah.
or developing surveillance technologies that invade privacy.
So we need to have those tough conversations
Yes, we do.
about the potential downsides of these technologies.
And develop safeguards to prevent their misuse.
So it really feels like we're at a crossroads right now.
It does, doesn't
We have these incredibly powerful tools,
That can revolutionize science and improve our lives.
but we also need to use them wisely and ethically.
We do. The future is not predetermined.
Okay.
It's up to us to shape it to make sure that these technologies are used for good
For the benefit of humanity.
and for the protection of our planet.
So what would you say to someone who's just starting their scientific journey? What advice would you give them as they enter this new era of scientific discovery?
I would say embrace change. Be open to learning new things and don't be afraid to push the boundaries.
I like that.
The possibilities are limitless.
Okay, so let's get specific.
Okay?
What are some of the technologies that will shape the lab of the future?
Well, one thing's for sure, robots are going to become much more common.
Okay.
We'll see robotic arms, dual arm systems, mobile manipulators, all integrated with AI.
And these robots won't just be doing those simple tasks, right?
No, they'll be assisting with complex procedures, working alongside scientists as partners.
So it's not about robots replacing scientists.
Yeah.
It's about giving scientists an extra set of hands to
Exactly.
help them do their work.
And the robots themselves are going to get more sophisticated.
How so?
They'll learn from their experiences, adapt to new situations, perform tasks that require incredible dexterity.
It's like the robots are evolving right alongside us.
And it's not just robots.
Okay.
We're also going to see an explosion of new digital tools.
Okay.
Cloud computing, augmented reality.
Those are already having a big impact in other areas.
They are, and in the lab, they're going to change how scientists visualize and interact with data.
So you'll be able to immerse yourself in data.
Yes, even control experiments remotely.
It's like science fiction is becoming reality.
It is.
Okay. What else can we expect?
We'll see more sensors, connected devices throughout the lab.
Gathering data.
Yes, constantly providing real-time insights.
So a more data-driven approach to research.
And AI is going to play a bigger role in making sense of all that data.
It's amazing to think about all the possibilities.
It is.
It sounds like the lab of the future is going to be this dynamic, constantly evolving environment.
And it's a future that's closer than we think.
Really?
Most labs will probably be using AI within the next few years.
Wow, that's soon.
And as robots become less expensive, we're going to see a lot more automation.
So it's not a question of if, but when.
Exactly.
But with all this talk about automation, I think a lot of people are wondering about the role of the scientist.
Yeah.
Will there even be a need for human researchers in this super high-tech world?
That's a great question, and the answer is yes.
A resounding yes.
Human researchers will be more important than ever.
So much of what we've talked about points to technology taking over so many tasks in the lab.
It does seem that way.
But you're saying that the role of the scientist is actually going to be even more important.
I am.
I don't quite understand.
Well, think about it this way.
Okay.
AI and robotics, they're great at the technical stuff.
Yeah.
But they can't replace those uniquely human qualities.
Okay.
The things that drive scientific discovery.
Which are?
Creativity.
Oh.
Curiosity.
Mhm.
Critical thinking.
Yeah.
And the ability to ask the big questions.
The why questions. So
Exactly.
it's not about humans versus machines.
No.
It's about humans and machines working together.
It's a partnership
Okay.
where technology does all the heavy lifting,
The routine stuff.
all the data crunching,
And that frees up scientists to focus on what they do best.
asking insightful questions, designing clever experiments, interpreting the data.
Finding meaning in the numbers.
Exactly.
So the lab of the future, it's a place where those boundaries between disciplines, they kind of dissolve.
They do.
Scientists are comfortable with code and microscopes.
Yeah.
And robots are our partners.
It's a future where the physical and digital worlds merge,
I like that.
where scientists can collaborate across continents,
Yeah,
and data is not just collected but understood.
that's key, isn't it?
It is.
It's not just about having data.
Whoa.
It's about knowing what it means.
Exactly.
So it sounds like a really amazing future for science.
It does.
But I imagine it's a little bit daunting
Yeah, I can see that.
for someone who's just starting out.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to aspiring scientists?
I would say embrace the interdisciplinary nature of science.
Don't limit yourself.
Don't limit yourself.
Okay,
Take courses in computer science, data analysis, robotics.
be a polymath.
Yes.
Be well-rounded.
The more skills you have, the better you'll be able to navigate this complex world of science.
Yeah, that makes sense. And what about technology?
Don't be afraid to experiment. Get your hands dirty with new technologies.
Okay.
Learn to code, explore data visualization tools, even try to build a robot.
So it's really about that mindset of being curious,
It is.
of being willing to learn new things.
But even with all this focus on technology, we can't forget the human side of science.
What do you mean by that?
Well, as scientists, we have to hold on to those core values.
Like,
Rigorous methodology,
okay,
intellectual honesty,
yeah,
a commitment to finding the truth,
no matter what.
no matter what.
So the tools may change,
They will.
but the values stay the same.
They should.
It's a reminder that science is a human endeavor
It's driven by our curiosity, our desire to understand the world.
and make it a better place.
Exactly.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the lab of the future,
Yeah.
what would you say to our listeners?
I would say embrace the possibilities, be bold, and never lose sight of the wonder of science.
It's a future full of challenges,
It is.
but also brimming with opportunity.
The lab of the future, it's waiting to be shaped by your ideas
By your passion.
and by your commitment to pushing the boundaries of knowledge.
So go out there, explore, experiment, discover.
The future of science is in your hands.
I like that.
It's